Once more into the breach with Ethan Hawke and the Black Phone franchise. Really, dude? Did this one need a franchise? I don't know.
Actually, apparently, this is part of a larger universe that I didn't even know. I saw a reel about it. I should have saved it. Search, but much bigger universe.
Get out of here. I didn't know that either. I thought this was a surprise sequel following up on a well-received, successful part one. How long ago? 2 years ago? 3, I think. I don't remember.
It might be 3.
Yeah. But I enjoyed the first one. I think I mentioned the first one the other day when we were doing the podcast. I said Black Phone for me didn't quite hit the level of like creep under my skin that Sinister did a long time ago, but it's good. And it's gut churning in a couple of places, and it's gritty and grainy and has a certain style to it because everything else is overproduced and has over effects these days and relies on trickery and a lot of jump scares, loud noises. That's startled. That's not scary. You know what I mean? That's different. So I wasn't expecting a sequel to Black Phone because it had a mortal serial killer killed at the end of his movie. And here we are. Here we are, part 2. So when I saw the trailer, I said to myself, okay, there's only really one way they can do that if it's not a prequel, and it's not, clearly, because in the trailer they're like, oh, you didn't think the story was over because I died. Because you killed me. Like, no, it's more of the grabber and more of the same 2 kids just 3 years later from part 1.
4 years later.
3, 4, whatever he said. I don't know. I thought it was 3. That's funny for me too, because that Mason Thames, who plays Finney, I just saw him in How to Train Your Dragon live action like 4 months ago. So it's funny seeing him be both of those characters in the same year. Like, you got one of them's over here training Toothless, the other one's pounding the shit out of some kid in the schoolyard 5 minutes into the movie. Like, okay, my man's grown up a little bit. He's throwing them hands. Got 2 of them in this movie. He can do that. But dude, so you saw it earlier yesterday. I caught up with today, so it's still fresh in our minds. So why don't we do a few minutes of non-spoiler impressions, and then we'll just jump right into the story, because I got some stuff that I got to say on this one. So what did you think overall? No spoilers.
No spoilers. The movie picks up quite nicely after a good time jump. The actors, I think, were pretty good. They really nailed their roles. I love how it was stylized, which we'll get into deeper. It was very eccentric on how they did the stylization.
Good word.
Yeah, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, true. I thought I was seeing 2 different movies at once, especially at the halfway point onward. So that's where a lot of my criticisms are going to come from. There's a certain scene in the chapel, and when this scene happened, I said to myself, uh-oh. And yeah. But everything you just said is spot on. There's a certain look and a vibe to both of these films, and I like that Scott Derrickson and C. Robert Cargill teamed up to bring a sequel and not just leave it in Blumhouse's hands. I feel like a regular Blumhouse sequel would have mailed this in completely, and it wouldn't have had any of the bite. This had a lot of bite. Yeah, a lot more than part 1. I think that they twisted that dial just enough to kind of up the threat level from what you got in part 1, which was unforgiving, which was, was graphic in a couple of places, if I recall correctly. It obviously does the whole child serial killer thing, which is not pleasant subject material at all. But in this one, they did not shy away from jack squat when it came to them kids. They were like, fuck them kids. You know what I mean? That's the movie. It laid it on there. So, I mean, the look was there. The tone was, brutal in a lot of places. It told it. I wasn't going to say nothing yet.
Sorry, my finger slipped. Muscle spasm.
He's gonna spoil shit. I better do it. Now, I was gonna say the style was there, the brutality was there. The story took an unexpected direction, but I guess if you're gonna do a part 2 to Black Phone, you've really only got a couple of options, right? You can do the follow-up to how Finn's doing as like the main push of your movie, right? And maybe he's just dealing with some PTSD. Maybe there's a grabber copycat, but that sounds an awful lot like Scream. Like, oh, who else is out here trying to the grabber's other brother we never met has a grabber mask, and now he's going to torture Finn. Like, no. So I think they dodged a bullet there. The other way you go is you tell the story, you kind of build on Gwen, which they did. And kind of the psychic abilities that she has, the connections to her mother, how she was getting visions of the kids that were going missing while concurrently Finn was getting the phone calls from them. So, I mean, so I think that was the interesting way to go. The unexpected way to go is we're basically making a Nightmare on Elm Street sequel here. Now, all of a sudden, the grabber, who was just human in the first movie, has been elevated. Now he's a dream demon. You get that? Get that, boys and girls? Now he's a dream demon. You've been spoiled. Kingsley's trigger finger already warned you. So he's dead. His spirit's back for reasons we don't know how. Doesn't matter. Don't explain it. And he's doing Freddy Krueger shit to Gwen in her dreams. Kingsley, you have the floor.
Actually, I thought the exact same thing. I was like, this is how Freddy got the powers to begin with, the original.
It was just missing the scene with the flying tadpoles from Freddy's Dead from part 6. He was like, oh yeah, I'll do that shit. Send me out of hell. I'll go torture these kids. That's pretty much what this movie was. And I'm like, okay, you know, the Nightmare on Elm Street shouldn't have a monopoly on people dying in their dreams and, you know, weirdo child serial killer types. They can do that.
The thing is, I don't think it's technically a dream because it would be more of a lucid dream. It's more of a vision. So she enters in another realm. So it's not actually a dream. The dream is like the way she enters in. So that's how you could differentiate it.
Oh, dude, if it was a dream, everybody else wouldn't have been able to see it, and they did.
Yeah.
which was a weird part in that second half. We'll get to that. But I like these kids. I like the characters. I still don't like the dad. I think he's a weak link here.
And that's why they limited his screen time for a reason.
Didn't need him at all. Like he's in recovery now.
He's still the dad.
Don't need him.
He's still the dad.
Didn't need him. If you're not going to have him, spoiler alert, if he's not going to show up at the end to finally be a good dad, don't have him. And he didn't. So I didn't need the character.
Oh, he did stay and help them fight. He believed them.
Yeah, not good enough, dude. When Finn's having his breakdown melty moment, dude should have said something and should not have been talked off by his daughter. And he was. I didn't like that. I got a thing for fatherhood movies, and they underplayed him to the point where I didn't need him. And if this movie had a couple extra characters, like the Christian couple that are like the main camp office employees, didn't need them at all. They were comic relief at best. But they needed something to
push. Their purpose was to push certain lines.
Yeah, that white Christian people are bad, cowards, ineffective, rude.
Well, it's not the white ones, yeah, but. I did say that a lot about a lot of American Christians, no matter what.
True, I mean, you ain't wrong.
American Christianity is watered down. I ain't gonna lie to you on that. As a Christian, I can say that.
Them's is facts. But I thought the cast was a little blown. Interesting note on the cast. I don't know if you picked up on this. The kid that played Ernesto. Recognize him?
Oh no, I didn't recognize him. I know he's the brother of the guy who was in the fight at the beginning of the first movie.
You know who else he is? The guy from the beginning, from the first movie that was in the fight. It's the same actor.
Oh, it is.
Hired him back to play the younger brother. Yeah.
No, I did not pick up that. They did a great job of making him look different.
He's got a different look. Got the glasses on. Yeah. I've only seen Black Phone once, so it wouldn't have registered to me.
Yeah, it didn't. I've only seen Black Phone once too, so it wouldn't have registered.
When I had looked up the cast because I wanted to get Finn and Gwen's real names, and his name popped up, but my first Google search had just gone in and give me the cast for part 1. So I went and retyped Black Phone cast 2, and it's like the same 3 people. Oh, look at that! I'll be damned. That was kind of nifty. Let's talk story here, broad strokes. I mean, we're going to spoil a couple of bits, but it's 3 years later. Finn is dealing with the PTSD and the fallout. He's a very different character than he was in Black Phone 1, which makes sense. So I like where we pick up where we met them, like you said, you know, at the onset. Gwen is still dealing with getting kind of picked on at school because she's not out there throwing hands, even though she was throwing hands in that first movie defending her brother, if I recall correctly.
She's done that, didn't she?
Yeah, but still, she's still throwing hands and saving them, you know. And this one, the mean girls are picking on her, and there's no retaliation. But she's dealing with her own stuff. She's got a little crush. That's Ernesto. So he's trying to, you know, get her concert tickets, and he's kind of goofy and awkward with her. I like that. So the 3 teens are fine. They're good. Ethan Hawke, solid, doing the grabber thing. We wait a long time for the grabber to make an appearance in the movie. I think it worked to a degree. kind of building into that. When do we get the big reveal? Because I think the reveal scene in the camp kitchen was pretty good. It was pretty tense.
Mm.
He just comes stepping out of shadow like an absolute ass, and I'm like, yeah, this chick's in trouble. So that was all right. But the story for me, and this is where these horror movies all either work or they don't. It was going good. A little murder mystery. We got what happened to these kids? Why am I seeing visions of these kids? They're haunting me. One of them attacks her in a dream. She thinks that she watches 3 awful deaths of these kids.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty rough. And then it just kind of goes off the rails a little bit. And it becomes a whole lot of, we add on layers of backstory to things that were beautifully simple in part 1. Like, mom's dead. She's out of the picture. Her death caused dad to go crazy and become an alcoholic. And we have to deal with this crap. But they tied everything back, and now the world feels smaller. I don't know if you want to talk about that. We're spoiling shit. So if you want to talk about how they tied it back to mom, if you want to go into that at all.
So she's the only adult victim of the grabber at the time. And that's because she was onto him, because her dreams led them to because they actually worked at the same camp, the very camp that this movie shot at, and that they're working at now. So it all kind of ties together. Like, nothing is a coincidence. I liked how it played into that. Like, nothing that ever happens is a coincidence. And it's all just, this family is tied to this person, just like the people at this camp are tied to that person because they all worked with them. They've mentioned that before the original owner closed it, which that's when the 3 kids died. Now, I was thrown for a loop when I found out he was a worker there. I thought he would have been like a teen, like with them, and he killed those 3 kids.
I see that. It didn't. When the minute that dude pulled that photo off the wall, I was like, oh no. It's whatever spark of insight in my head was just like, this asshole is going to be in that picture, and I wasn't thinking teen. I was thinking more like staff, given Ethan Hawke's age, and like mom and dad's age, like they're like the real life, they're actors' ages. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, I could see where they'll age him down for this picture here. I don't even think it was him in the picture, but they obviously they identified him. But yeah, dude, so the first half is solid. You know, they're like, hey, we're gonna go up to that camp where mom worked, because I think there's a connection there to why we're still getting calls and why I'm still having dreams. These 3 kids went missing there. They go up there, and the best part is you get Shining vibes, right? It's isolated. There's a blizzard. You can't leave. And they play that up really well. Like the driving conditions to get there, ultra dangerous, so once you're there, you're locked in. They get there. No one else is there. Camp's been canceled. It's like the support crew only, including the camp owner. So it's like 5 people plus these 3, Finn, Gwen, and Ernesto. And that's it. So I'm like, okay, that's a nice meaty little list of people for like a secluded area. So we have to get like a slasher thing going on here one by one. And then they don't do any of that.
No.
None of that. Matter of fact, the only person that dies in this movie is the grabber.
Again.
Well, no, he killed kids in the first movie. So there were multiple people.
Well, I mean, he was already dead. So they
killed him
again.
Yeah. Oh, they meant again, like for part 1. No. I mean, like again, because it already happened to him. Got it.
No. Yeah, because he's already dead.
For the second time.
I totally thought Mondo was going to die based on how it was building up. I had it built that Mondo was going to die.
And probably should have, because this is where I'm telling you, the chapel scene, this is where it all falls apart, because it felt like it was just off somehow to me, and it wasn't Mondo's performance. Like, what did he do? But he leaves the group to go up and walk on stage to basically deliver more information, and I'm like, okay, but it's necessary, I guess. It adds a little bit of context, but it felt like it really pumped the brakes, because it happened after that bombshell scene in the kitchen, and I'm like, why are we slowing down here? There should be no slowdown. Why are we not all bunkering into like the chapel and putting a plan together, but after barricading the fucking doors to figure things out? Because after this scene, people go off in every direction. Finn goes outside to smoke a J. The Christian couple go back to their cabin. Mustang's fine ass is out riding around on a horse somewhere. Like, I don't understand what these people are doing. And I think it's literally because the script, like they had the treatment idea that covered through that kitchen scene, and that was the movie, right? And that the grabber was going to be defeated somehow there, get thrown into the oven or something, and that was it. And then they're like, fuck, we only have 40 pages. What do we do? And they wrote 40 more pages of crap. Because the second half of this movie is a dumpster, dude. A dumpster. The minute Mondo told the group, oh, you know, Wild Bill was a pretty good ice skater. He probably buried the kids in the water somehow and he had access. I'm like, if they put this fucking guy on ice skates with a fucking axe, I'm going to riot. And riot I did. Because he comes speed skating out on the ice with that axe. And I'm like, you've got to be shitting me. And like people in the row laugh and they're like, yeah, dude, this looks dopey AF. Dopey AF. But it was a tale of two halves for me, man. Did you pick up any difference between half one and half two, or did this work for you as like a through? I don't know.
I was just watching. I didn't really turn on my brain for the analytic part of it. I was kind of seeing where they would go with it and see how they did it. I could see why they would do something like that because of his backstory and everything like that, and knowing how they do a lot of like supernatural world to the physical world is that they go back to what they're used to or how they did it before. So that would explain him using the ice skates and like the axe, especially.
I just think it looked goofy. It just looked goofy. That's all. Like I can't.
Well, his foot was like a full like piece of ice that he was ice skating with.
It just looked weird. And then there's a certain comical aspect to like he skates by the Christian office worker dude, slams him in the chest with the axe, and then drags him for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Clutching at the wound nobody can see, but everybody knows what's going on because we all know this is real now. Like, why aren't y'all calling the Ghostbusters or some shit? Who's the expert here? Like, what's going on? Where's the Vincent D'Onofrio from Sinister? None of them. Dude, Gwen's the expert. She didn't know shit. She had to be reminded she knew some shit.
And then, of course, they had the Nancy part where she took his power away when, like, the first battle on the ice, and she blew up the phone booth. So they had the Nancy moment.
but again, I feel like that was at like 60 minutes. So they wrote 20 pages to get her from the kitchen to there. She had the Nancy moment, which is actually the 11 moment from Stranger Things. So now we're ripping off Stranger Things as well. Same look, same short hair, same gray pajama suit, like, so they got to that point and they were like, oh crap, we only got 60 pages. We need 30 more minimum. And like, what else do we got? And then they come up with all this nonsense about like, we got to bring the kids' bodies up
to take his power away.
To take his power. Like, do we salt and burn the bones like Supernatural? No, we just pull the bodies up. Like we did that.
That one actually plays into Native American lore, because if they're not buried properly, they're still tied to this world.
A lot of cultures believe that, sure.
Which would have pulled his soul there because one, his job isn't done and he didn't want to be done. So going back to would be a natural progression for him. And if they wanted to do a Black Mass 3 or Black Phone 3, they would have to tie him to the see all the kids from the neighborhood were all found. Like they found them dead. Right. So that would not play well because he didn't hide the bodies again.
I did. I think, and this we'll go off on a little tangent here just to talk about the potential for a Black Phone 3. Obviously, it's Sunday when we're recording this. We'll probably talk about box office money on Wednesday at 9:00 on FrostCast. If this makes bank, I don't see why they wouldn't. Franchises are still a thing. I think the mechanism they get to get a 3, and I think they very subtly put this into after they defeat the grabber, right? They what's that Olympic sport? Curling. They curl his hacked up, destroyed face body, because let's talk about the ass kicking that Finn laid on him, smashing his face into the ice 800 times. They basically curl the grabber's body towards the hole in the ice that they pulled the bodies up from. And as he's heading in, he grabbed the mask and put it back on. Like he scrambled and got the mask and put it back on. And then he disappears, into the hole. And I'm like, I don't think that was on accident. I don't think that was because if they were just trying to like emasculate him, like punk him as the villain for going down, they'd have had him grab, no pun intended, for the mask, but not get it. You know what I mean? Like, you have nothing. Like, no, you've got something. You have a tether now. So I can totally see the power not being just in the bodies, it's in the mask and how it inspires fear. I think they could go that route if they make their money. I don't know. I haven't looked up any box office for this yet.
Yeah. I mean, you'll have early returns right now, but tomorrow would be the hard numbers.
We'll check it out. We'll get the numbers to folks on Wednesday. Let's talk gore here. We don't.
They definitely stepped up the gore from the first one in this one.
It got kind of bloody up in that cabin.
Yeah. So I have made sure that Gwen, she is a mutant. A relative of Wolverine is how fast she heals from cuts.
Let's talk about Gwen, right? You know, I was seconds away from doing the girl boss accusations. Seconds. But I reeled myself in. You know why? Because at least they balanced her 11 psychic explosion things and the finale of the movie, you know, like she's beating the crap out of him and her brother's beating the crap out of him, and like the siblings are doing their thing. So it was her movie, but the first one was Finn's movie, so it's okay. But they balance all of her girl power stuff with like making a stand against her dad and be like, I'm not leaving. We're going to take your belt off and beat me into the truck. No, we're not going until this is done. They balance that by making her genuinely terrified 5 times in this movie. Like the actress turns it on,
or where she needs her brother, or she needs her boyfriend.
Right. Like the actress, I think her name's Madeline McGraw, I think is the actress name. Keep an eye on her. Like she's got some game. So every time she decompensates coming out of one of these dreams, she's like, I feel crazy. And she's like blubbering, wimping, sobbing. And I'm like, holy crap. Like, oh, you mean like a 14-year-old girl would be in this situation? Like, yeah. Like she didn't all of a sudden know kung fu. She didn't grab a gun and go John Wick on anybody.
Yeah, and especially when you're learning that you have a new power, it would take a while to figure out what you can do with it. Because one, her mom's not there to guide her through it, she inherited.
This is the Conjuring. It's not the Conjuring. We just did that.
Yeah.
You know, go check that review out, guys. And the same thing with Finn, I would say. There it is. It's in that box up there. The same thing with Finn. Like they have that breakdown scene where she's like, you know what? Shut up. You're just like dad. Some bad shit happened. And now you're covering up with, you know, with what your substance. It doesn't matter if it's not alcohol. And my man Mason turns in the performance of a movie in that block also. He's like, I'm tired of being fucking angry all the fucking time. And that's when I wanted dad to step in. Like dad should have been like, it's okay, and just pulled him in for a dad hug, called it, but no, he didn't get that. But the performance was solid from the kid. He's good. He's going places too. But yeah, dude, the gore, we've got away from that. I want to go back to that. I mean, they show you early on that they're not fucking around. Like they chase that little kid in the yellow coat through the woods. And they hack him up.
Multiple stabbings, and then they fried the next one.
And they cut the other kid's face in half.
Yeah,
but with the stab one and the there was another kid got an axe in the gut. There was the dismembered kid got the axe to the gut. It's and I hate to use the word tastefully because you don't really tastefully kill kids on screen, but it's tastefully done in a way you don't see their faces, so you can still dissociate what's happening to a degree. It walks right up to the line, right up to it. You know, like unlike It Part 1 from 2017 or whatever, when like the kid sticks his arm in the sewer and the fucking clown bites his arm
off. Yeah,
you see the kid screaming in agony, like full face, and you're like, no, now I got a Batman the clown. I mean, I got a Batman the grabber anyway, but you know, the clown had to get it. The assault on the cabin with the 3 kids, like the one kid in the window, like the grabber breaks the window and then, you know, I'm not going to say out the rest. Like, we're not fucking around. And then this poor girl in the phone booth gets the triple phone call app, the choke out, and then he fucking starts her like a lawnmower engine and fucking corkscrews her 800 times, blood spinning everywhere. I'm like, dude, they're killing the girl. She's done. She's toast, right? And then you're like, no, because she actually has increased healing factor and she survives everything.
Yeah.
So she's mutant confirmed.
Mutant confirmed.
Yeah, gotta be. Because if Nightmare on Elm Street taught us anything, the damage you incur in the dream world
comes into the physical world.
And we know this because when she went back in, I had something to say about the whole going back in thing. when she goes back in and she's trying to make her escape and the grabber gets her in the arm with the axe, we see her arm in real life, Nancy style again, bleed. Because Ernesto's like, oh shit, she's bleeding. Wake up. Fucking, what are we doing? Like, so I don't know how you get choked for 10 minutes and smacked around in a phone booth and not have some kind of concussion or bleed out or anything. But she did.
Maybe you don't get concussions in the dream because it's not your actual brain.
Maybe. No, you shouldn't.
Maybe you only get physical wounds, but not like concussions or like if an explosion happens, your studs are coming out.
I don't know, man. People just don't die in this movie unless the script tells them to. Let's talk about your boy Mondo, who falls in the ice, who gets knocked into the water, the freezing water, right? Is down there for an indeterminate amount of time, only crawls out halfway, gets brought back to the cabin, but by the next day he's leading the search party. You get that? Hypothermia, frostbite, none of that shit? Exposure? None of it? Okay. Cool. Don't worry about it.
It's okay. He's Mondo.
Right? The Christian couple gets a face smashed into the ice. Might have broken her nose. Could have killed her. Didn't. That dude took a skating axe shot to the chest, drags him around for a quarter of a mile.
And in the head.
And in the head. Because he ran by. I thought he was going to scalp the chick. I thought that's what we were going for. Because she bled right underneath the hairline. I'm like, here we go.
And it just kind of would have slid off. Now, if it was Nightmare on Elm Street, it would have slid off, and you would have saw the brain.
Seen some brain, you know what I mean? Like that would have been, and that would have been gnarly, and it would have been all right. But no, it's like no, they focused all the graphic violence on them kids. Fuck them kids, I guess. Like I'm going back to that because it was pretty savage. Yeah, something about it just didn't work for me at the end. The ending was kind of goofy. They used the Nightmare on Elm Street ending. Oh no, we take the power back from you, so now we can just beat the crap out of you. Because Finn figures out that even though he's invisible, if he wills it really hard, he can feel around for him and then see him and then know where his head is and actually grab his hair and give him into the turnbuckle ice like 17 times. 1, 2, 3, the crowd, dude, I was gonna count him on the theater, man, and then wait for it and then spin around a couple of times and then boom, give him the big one. And then, but just to add insult to injury, little sister's because Finn's trying to pull him by the belt buckle to like slide him to give him the curling move into the water. She's like, nah, fuck that dude. Grabs his axe, hacking an ankle. And I'm like, oh, snap. She ain't playing. So they send him into the water. He grabs the mask and then she boots his foot. Did you see that shit? She boots the foot into the water after him. Like, why are you giving him his stuff back?
Yeah.
Why are you giving him his foot? Keep the foot. You know what I mean? But so I don't know, man.
I could go with how he found him and like how he could interact with a spiritual being on another level because he is one of the gifted. Like he could actually be able to because he's one of the two siblings.
I just thought it was just funny.
Now, if Mondo or Mustang did it, I would have had an issue with it.
Yeah. See here's the thing that I think I can pin you down on the shit that just don't make sense, right? This is the most egregious example the movie has of we just need the plot to happen, so just let it happen, right? We know this girl has torturous psychic dreams, whichever's going on, right? They stand to gain now, unlike Nightmare on Elm Street, let me set this up. Unlike Nightmare on Elm Street, where they had to learn that Nancy could go into the dream and bring something out because she grabs Freddy's hat at one point,
that was the
pulls
first
it out and like, wait a second, right? Wait a second. If I go in and I grab him and you wake me up, we can then beat the crap out of him out here because then he's real. They reason
Home Alone before Home Alone.
Right. So in this movie, for some reason, they know this girl has the worst case of like sleepwalking, awful, torturous psychic dreams ever. And they keep letting her go to sleep. Like they're watching her in different moments, like 15 different scenes of people babysitting her. Like, and at the end, up on like the horse-drawn sleigh there at the end, like she's sitting next to Mustang and she's slipping out. They're like, yo, keep her awake. Every time this girl falls asleep, she takes the ass kicking of a lifetime. One of them should kill her. Not one of her people, like one of the dreams, I mean. And I'm like, dude, the plot doesn't need to happen that bad. Just work around this. And this is where you tell me how they could have worked around it.
No, I'm trying to tell you that they needed smelling salts.
Why did they not have smelling salts?
Listen, like, which was wake up! Like, get the smelling salts. No,
but they didn't even do that, dude. Dude, they were gently trying to wake her up like they weren't trying to wake her up. And then the one scene in the cabin, they dumped the water on her,
the
which was
health
fucking
reason
hilarious.
of people who sleepwalk. You don't want to startle them because you can do massive damage to the heart and stuff like that.
She's
You
14.
have to-
she can take it. She can take it. She's a kid. You know, we're not doing that to you. She's a 14-year-old girl who just got choked in a phone booth by a ghost.
I mean,
wake her up, dude.
I actually had a huge issue sleepwalking when I was, how old was I?
We were like 5 like the rest of us?
No, we were at Fort Bragg. So I was going into 6th grade at the time before we moved to Germany. And I had a problem sleepwalking. And they woke me up once because I went out the front door. Yeah. And it was like it grabbed me and startled me. And like then I passed out and they couldn't get me back up.
Yeah. Sleepwalking's weird. Let's talk about sleepwalking. So the first time this girl goes for a sleepwalk, she finds herself at the grabber's house in the basement on the black hole. It was first time, second, whatever. But the point is she got there and then Finn miraculously is there and he's like, I saw you get up and leave, so I followed you. Like, bro, you followed this chick across town to that place?
It's not across town. It's like 7 houses down from where they live.
Wherever it was, dude. If you knew she was heading in that, dude, if you knew she was going down the stairs out the door, you stop her then. You didn't really need to case out where she was going. You know what I'm saying? It was just again, it happened because they needed that scene where we could get the ghost brother and we could get the heavy footsteps coming down the stairs, but it's really Finn. Like I get why, but I'm like,
and then the blood on her socks.
Right. Which I'm like, can somebody explain this to me? Like, how? Because she was in the fucking dream world, did all that shit. She didn't and she noticed it. She didn't immediately point that out to the brother and be like, bro, we got a problem. The shit's happening again. You know? Like because they have a great bond. Like they're not at each other's throats. They're legit siblings that are trauma bonded, not only from their mother's death, the father's abuse, the events of the first film. Like they're good. They're solid. You know what I mean? They call each other on their bullshit in both films. Mostly her to him because he's the one that needs it. But yeah, she should have been like, "Oh, my feet are bloody. How'd that happen?" Oh, because some weird shit's going on. But yeah, there's too much stuff that the level of scrutiny you need to pull any of this apart is not a lot. And that's disappointing to me because I really liked part 1. And I don't remember coming away from part 1 being like, but if. And I feel like this one, especially at that halfway point, I was like, something's wrong here. Something's rotten in Denmark. My grandma used to say that.
It's from Hamlet.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, look at that. Look at you knowing some literature. There you go. Yep. Cool. Yeah, that's Black Phone too. Ethan Hawke, good. I know we didn't talk about Ethan Hawke enough. Creepy, but I don't think they gave him a lot except for that one scene with her in the van, which was a great scene where he finally has the upper half mask off. And he's, showing her what he shows her.
When he pulled the bottom part off was the creepier part than having
gruesome.
Half off.
Yeah. I'm just saying his power dialogue scene, if we can call it that, is definitely with Gwen in the van as they're rolling towards the ultimate shock that he lays on her. And again,
it was a kindness.
I guess I don't believe him when he said it either. Because I don't like. I mean, I get the whole where you're saying I like that there's no coincidences, but I don't think that necessarily means everything needs to be tied to something that already happened. I get what you're saying, but I didn't need to be like we were saying that they both were counselors at the same camp. She's the one that found the first kid, so he had to take her out. And to take her out, he staged it to look like a suicide. Why? Fucking kill her and leave her on the ground. Like you followed her to her house and hung her in a garage. Really? That was the play? Okay, I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's like,
but then it also, if she killed herself, then no one would be looking for a murderer.
No, yeah, true. I mean, good point. Good thinking. Good thinking. But again, it's like it's the same complaint that a lot of people have with Star Wars, where we're like, is everybody related to Skywalker, Kenobi, or Solo? Like, could people just be characters and not be connected to like the 3 houses? Like
Poe wasn't. He wasn't related to anybody,
and nobody remembers his name.
Well, I just said his name.
I mean, we remember his name because I thought he was the best of the 3 new characters that amounted to nothing. But, Poe Dameron. Anyway, you want to give Black Phone 2 a rating? I'm interested to hear how high you're going on this one. Because you haven't had any negatives. Do you have any negatives? I should have asked you that first. Any nitpicks even?
The smelling salts. I would have had the smelling salts.
Yeah.
2, I think they all should have, after the seeing that they all should have stayed in the same bunkhouse just to watch each other. They shouldn't have repeated the whole thing. She's the one who snuck into the boys thing.
Oh yeah, like that's my brother, dude. Like that shit doesn't count. That's stupid.
Yeah.
That shit didn't bode well with me. There were a couple before you give a score.
There he had the first one where it was like, he's like, if you do that again, you're gone. He's like, I could lose my license for that.
Yeah, don't do that shit.
Yeah,
but then you're right. After we all witnessed the fucking the happening, the poltergeist thing, whatever. No, we're all in the same building, same floor. We're all in a tight ring. Everybody's covering a door or a window.
She's a demon child.
You got the devil in you. So that lady had there were a couple of good comic beats between her and Gwen. Some of Gwen's colorful language is really funny. But they nail humor in a couple of places here for real that doesn't undermine actual tension. Like when Gwen's already sweared at Barb a couple of times, and then Finn swears at her, and the Christian chick's like, dude, what is it with this family?
This family.
That's funny. That's funny. And there was she had another beat like that or at a different point that I can't remember. I'm like, dude, but they were 40 minutes apart, you know what I mean? And 10 minutes after the tense thing happened. So it's not like, oh, this chick almost got thrown in an oven joke. And I was like, no, let's fucking space it.
We almost had a Hansel and Gretel moment.
Yeah, like we didn't need that. He was gonna Gretel my ass up, and like, no, stop, stop it. All right, Black Phone 2 rating though. Let's get up out of here.
You gave me some things to think about. I'm gonna give you. You gave me some things to think about. But overall, the stylization of the way they differentiated the dream from the real world, and like how it was a film, and then like how it kind of burned out when she woke up. Like it was like film burning.
It was a pretty good transition. I have that on Filmora. I use that too.
Yeah, I thought that was well done. So technically, I enjoyed the performances. So I'm gonna make it upper lower middle class.
Okay.
So
there's some advanced mathematics.
6, yeah.
6. Wow. Didn't think that would be the number for you. That recontextualizes everything I wanted to give it in terms of a number. Because if you gave it a 6, I got to go lower.
You don't have to go lower. You can give it a 6 too.
Can't. Because
it's very possible.
Dude, but I shouldn't though, because I'm telling you, 45 minutes of this movie after that chapel did not work for me on like any level, like at all. Besides the gore, besides like the dream ass kickings this poor girl took were like old school Nightmare on Elm Street dragging Tina across the wall ass kickings, and I'm like, dude, sign me up. Like this is cool shit. This is what I want.
We're just missing the Johnny Depp blood volcano.
Dude, and if they had what, dude, that should have been the Christian chick's death or Mondo's death or Mustang's death. There should have been that one signature, like, what the hell, like that they all witnessed, and they're like, the fuck is going on? But I think they blew that shot with they all just witnessed her get her ass kicked in the kitchen. You know what I mean? But I think one of them should have taken the ass kicking, even if it was when they tried to grab her and pull her down from getting thrown in the oven, like when all the pots and pans and shit start flinging. Where's the rack of knives, bro? Where's the rack of knives? Should have been a rack of knives. Should have barbed right up against the wall. Nope. Dude, I'll give it a 6 also then. Because the style, much like we were just talking about Tron before we did this movie, these writers, Scott Derrickson with C. Robert Cargill, these two movies have a distinct visual style. It's unique to these two. They're very grounded in old film. I used to listen to C. Robert Cargill's podcast. It was called Junk Food Cinema. It's a great podcast. If you can find it, I highly recommend it. You'd like it. They know their stuff.
I like the Unsubscribed podcast.
Is he on that one too?
No, that one's completely different. I'm just throwing.
I don't know if he was like, maybe he's on that one. They know their stuff. They're about our age. I think they might be a year or two older than we both are. But this is their vibe. It's like that 70s, 80s, a grindhouse kind of cinema, like that they know that shit in and out, and it shows in this movie. I feel like maybe Blumhouse backed up the Brinks truck to Derrickson's office and was like, dude, we need a sequel to this. What do you got? And, maybe he called up C. Robert Cargill and they were like, hey, what can we do with this? How can we bring him back? One of these dudes might have just watched The Nightmare on Elm Street and was like, hey, we'll just do Dream Demon shit. He's just a monster now. He's supernatural. We're going that way. And we got this. But I don't think the story holds up to scrutiny in the way that part one's just a simple movie about a kid that gets kidnapped. He's like the final victim, but he fights back. That's the point. Fight back, fight back, fight back. This movie, they echoed back to that in the ending. He reminds his sister to fight back. She does. They beat the crap out of the killer and they win. That's it.
All right. So we always like to guess this part. What do you think the budget for this movie was?
Now, honest to God, I have not looked that up ahead of time. I'm going to put this, because I've been wrong lately by a magnitude of a lot, on the high side. I'm going to put the budget here at 135.
30 million.
Get out of here. But it makes sense. I don't know why I went that high. It's all practically shot. What did they need anything CGI for? Like the some of the gore? Like everything else is done in lens, right?
And then removing people out,
right?
Like just people removal. Like when she's like spinning sideways, when she's doing the spinning like this.
But we've seen the BTS on that kind of stuff. We know the kind of wire rigs that they hook people up to do some of those kind of effects in certain places. And then you speed up frame rates, so you obviously don't kill the kid. The underwater stuff. That was probably some limited CG to get that done. They're not putting kids in frozen lake water to.
It's probably not frozen lake, but they just made it look like frozen lake water. But they're underwater.
You think they actually did
that? They have a dive team down there.
Oh, no, I know that. No, I know that exists. I just didn't even think they'd bother doing that for a movie like this. To even put them in a pool and then layer graphically the ice over or something like that.
Yeah.
Either which way, 30 mil. I'm shocked. This movie's going to make bank. Then it's going to be The Conjuring. Maybe not as much. I think this has a limited scope of horror vibe compared to. No, maybe it won't. I take that back. Black Phone 1 was really popular. Really popular. So
it was, but it didn't get popular until it hit streaming. It was not popular in theater.
Really? I feel like a lot of people up here were talking about it. But I mean, we'll get our numbers tomorrow. Like I said, we'll chat on Wednesday about box office returns. The second weekend, like always, will make or break it, but we can get a pretty good gauge on after the disastrous weekend at the box office that was last week.
Yeah.
This and it's up against what for competition?
Tron,
which is already buried. Already that was its best shot, was opening weekend. So, and definitely, I mean, as we get closer to Halloween, like, is there another scary movie coming out that's going to go up against Black Phone 2? I don't know.
I don't think there's any more, because I think that was the last one on my calendar for this month.
True. So I don't know. Why don't we leave it there then? That was Black Phone 2. We're both coming in at like 6 for different reasons. We gave you some spoilers. We tried to go spoiler free at the front, so you just if you hear this long, I guess I can't help you now, but next time watch the spoiler warning. That's all I got to say about that.
And if you're still with us and you like this type of content, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that thumbs up, because it really does help us out in that stupid thing they call the algorithm. Also, if you have some different takes, or you have another movie we should check out, go ahead and leave a comment down below, because we will answer in a timely manner. And always Wednesdays, 9 p.m., come check out FrostCast. By the way, let's check out some art. Boom.
We should have just had that up the whole time. That's pretty solid. I do like the modified Winter Wolf's Den background. It's pretty savage looking. We could probably just edit out the phone booth and just use this going forward for these kind of situations, and then put the movie poster in the middle here. Like, you can't see my hand, but like right there in the middle.
Yeah.
Cool. We can do that. All right. Why don't we play some music and get out of here? It's getting late. I need a sandwich. I always need a sandwich.
Later.